This is the second of a pair of videos looking at the EMIS Web Consultation section in Care Records. This video looks specifically at creating new consultations. A consultation can be added from any of the Care Records sections apart from medication, using the Add drop-down on the left-hand end of the ribbon. Here, a variety of different pre-configured consultation styles can be picked from. For this video, we'll go into the Consultations tab and select Add here. It's possible that if you're using the EMIS Appointments book and you've used Send In from the appointment slot, your system will be configured to automatically open a new consultation record for you. Incidentally, if you don't know about this configuration option, find out about it as it's invaluable. It's covered in our video Configuring EMIS, a GP's Guide. When adding a consultation for the first time in a session, you'll be presented with the Consultation Properties dialog box. The date defaults to today but can be changed. The time defaults to the time now but can also be changed. There's a field for external organisation. This might be used by an administrator, for example, to summarise information from hospitals, but it's not likely to be needed by a clinician when recording your own consultations. Generally, you'd leave the My Organisation selected. The name of the consulter defaults to you, but can be changed. Location will select your currently recorded location or that of the appointment session, depending on how you have accessed the consultation module. This should be checked to ensure that it's an accurate reflection of your location at the point of consultation. If not, location can be changed here. Consultation type will reflect the selected default but can be changed, enabling you to record home visits, telephone consultations, extended hours consultations, and many more different types. There are a few extra options available under Extended Properties. Here you could record the travel time in minutes, the miles travelled, the duration of the consultation, and any accompanying healthcare professionals by searching for them using the spyglass. The Store as Default option at the bottom of the Consultation Properties box is very useful. To avoid you having to complete the consultation properties every time you add a consultation in the same session, tick this box when seeing the first patient, and these details will automatically be completed for all consultations that you record until you log off. Do remember, however, that if you decide to add home visit records or telephone consultations while still logged on, you'll need to change these details as appropriate, and you can do this by selecting the Date Consulter Place option in the ribbon. The consultation begins with a blank record. The consultation header prompts are displayed on the left-hand side. Note that the order of these prompts can be changed to your own preference. EMIS defaults to having Problem at the top, followed by History and Examination, but you may wish to change this order. See the video Configuring EMIS Web, a GP's Guide for instructions on how to do this. The bottom section displays past consultations. There's a little slide bar option in the bottom right which changes the level of detail that's displayed in this section. Move the slider by clicking on the plus or minus signs. There are 3 levels of detail. The detailed option shows all information. The middle setting displays the header plus any problems present in each consultation. And summary just displays the header for each consultation. If you need to, you can leave the consultation without saving it, and EMIS will keep it open in a tab across the top of the screen. You can leave the consultation and, for example, check the patient's medication history, and then return by selecting the New Consultation tab. We'll have a look at the right-hand panel when we've added more information onto our consultation. First, we'll add a problem. We'll add asthma. As soon as you select the problem header, you'll notice that a drop-down appears with a selection of codes. These codes specifically relate to active problems that are already recorded on this patient's care record. Pick one of the existing problems, or start off by typing, and EMIS will search the code browser and present a drop-down of possible codes. Select from the list as appropriate. Alternatively, you can select the F4 link on the drop-down or press F4 on your keyboard for the full code browser. Notice that if you add a code that has a contraindication with meds that the patient is already on, a warning will be displayed. In this example, the patient is already on propranolol. Some codes will ask for qualifiers. For example, adding a wrist fracture or conjunctivitis will prompt for left, right, or bilateral. Once you've selected the appropriate option, click on the green tick to save. This protocol prompt is an example of a locally configured protocol that offers two different templates for the user to choose from, because we have added the code for asthma. Normally, these are very useful shortcuts to relevant templates, but for the purposes of this demonstration, we'll ignore this prompt. Note that if you wish to delete an entry at any time, highlight it and press delete on your keyboard. You'll be asked to confirm the deletion. Once the code and any qualifiers are selected, the system defaults to showing the problem as being active. You can use the drop-down next to this to pick Health Admin, for example, for something that's not generally considered a clinical problem, but for which you want the features that go with a problem. For example, you want the code showing in the problem section of the care record, or you want to be able to filter consultations, or you want to be able to link the code to other problems, documents, or referrals. You might choose Past or Ended from this drop-down, if you're coding from a document adding historical information. You can change the significance of the problem by changing the minor or significant setting. Depending on the problem, you'll be presented with different options regarding the episode status: first, review, new, flare-up, end episode. If this is a problem that has not been recorded previously on this patient's record, then EMIS will default to first episode. If there's already a record of the problem, EMIS might display review or new episode, for example. EMIS is configured with default active time periods for problems. For example, if the problem you select has a default of 28 days, after 28 days, that problem will no longer be considered active and will not be displayed in the Care Summary Active Problems section. Notice that you can select indefinitely, or you can create a custom length of time for this problem for this patient. There is an option to set your chosen duration as the default duration for that problem for the whole practice. The Action option lets you combine, evolve, or group coded entries. This is demonstrated in detail in the video about the EMIS Care Record Problems section. Like many of the sections in the consultation record, under the History header, you can add free text, but when you type, the code browser will anticipate a code which you can select if you wish, or you can leave the entry as free text. Likewise, with the examination section, start typing and pick a code. In the family history section, you will notice that whatever you type, the codes presented will relate to family history specifically. Under social, codes presented when you start to type will also be restricted to specific codes that relate to that section type. For example, if we type in asthma in the social section, we do not get presented with diagnoses codes, but instead we have these codes relating to health education and society membership. Comment is a section to be used for any descriptive text and/or codes. Note that within most of the consultation sections there is a quick pick lightning bolt icon. When selected, this allows you to pick from a list of coded entries that can be added quickly without having to search for the appropriate codes, For example, in the examination section, the quick picks might be BP, weight, height, BMI, peak flow, etc. These quick picks can only be configured organisation-wide, so if you have some that you'd like to be added to the list, speak to someone in your practice to make the changes. The medication section takes you straight into the Add Drug dialog box. This is a detailed module in its own right and will be covered in the separate video relating to the EMIS Care Record Medications section. Follow-up enables you to pick a code to be added as a diary entry. As you can see, this defaults to the problem from the current consultation, although you can change this. Select future date for the diary entry, or alternatively, you can base the follow-up on the patient's age. Before selecting OK, add any free text to be associated with that diary entry. Note that when adding diary entries throughout EMIS, you can normally put in 12W, for example, and it will calculate, but bear in mind that it calculates the date from the date selected in the calendar, so be careful. For example, if you set the date to 6 weeks and then change your mind and set it to 12 weeks, EMIS will add your 12 weeks to the 6 weeks that you previously added. When adding a code to the procedure section, you may be prompted for further information, for example for an injection. You could be prompted for manufacturer, batch number, expiry date, injection site, plus the option to add further qualifiers if required. These are not mandatory, so follow your local procedures. Test requests and referrals will be covered in separate videos about their specific care record sections. The Documents section of the consultation lets you create a document by selecting it from the EMIS document template list. You can pick a document from this initial list, which is displaying document templates that you have used before, or you can use the spyglass to search for another letter. I'll pick the antiplatelet letter. The document will merge the patient's information and be displayed to you. You can edit the document at this stage using the wide range of document processing options available to you in this section. Notice that you have access to the Shared Record Navigator on the left and the Summary section of the Consultation mode on the right. To save the document, go to File and select the appropriate Save option. There's also an option to print the document in this File menu. If you need to back out without saving, just select Close here. If you do save, you'll be prompted to enter some basic document properties, the first of which is mandatory. If you've used this before, the drop-down menu will present you with previously selected document types, but if your desired type is not there, you'll need to use the spyglass to find it. If you've saved the document, you'll now see it as an attachment in your consultation record. There are two other options in the document section. You can also attach a document, which prompts you to search for a document in your Windows folders, or attach existing document, which gives you a list of the documents that are already available on this patient's record, so you can select one or more to attach to this consultation. The Allergy section also displays a restricted code set because these codes will be used by EMIS to display allergies and link to medication. It's particularly important if you're adding information relating to allergies that this is done with coded entries and not just free text. If you only use free text, then the appropriate warnings, for example when adding a drug, will not appear. If you wish to add another problem within the consultation, select Next Problem from the ribbon. This will create a new tab within the consultation record, and your previous problems will show in separate numbered tabs across the top. To delete one of the tabs, but not the whole consultation record, click on the cross next to the tab title. Another key method for adding data in a consultation is to use templates, which are pre-configured data entry tools that not only prompt you to ensure that you ask all questions and record all appropriate information during consultations, but they also ensure that the same codes are used by all users to record the same thing, because the codes behind the templates are pre-configured when the template is designed. To use a template, select Run Template in the ribbon. Templates are stored in folders in EMIS, and you can either browse through the folders on the right-hand navigator, select one from the list on the left, which shows your previously used templates, or use the search field at the top of the dialog box. Different practices will have different preferences for how templates are stored and used. For example, your practice might want all clinicians to use EMIS library templates only. I'll select the Asthma Quick template. The template opens and fills the consultation screen, although note that you can still access the Resources panel on the right by opening it with the double arrow icon, and likewise with the Shared View navigator on the left. If there are previous entries for each prompted item, the latest one will be displayed to the right-hand side. Work through the template, completing appropriate data items. Some will be fields to fill in, some will have drop-down options, some will have tick boxes. Some may prompt for free text, and note that there's a spell check option available in the ribbon for any free text that you add. Some may create diary entries. Once you've completed the template, select Save and you'll be returned to the consultation. All the data entered into the template will be displayed in the appropriate section of the consultation record. But note, this data is not stored into the patient's record until you save this consultation. Now we have some data in our consultation, let's take a look at the right-hand panel and bottom section. This panel displays either summary, resource, or detail information. Swap between these three sections by selecting the relevant section at the bottom. Summary displays diary entries that are overdue or due soon, problems, medication, and allergies. Resource, this section will display contents which are linked to the data that's entered into the consultation that you are currently creating. Templates and Protocols displays any appropriate resources of these types, which you can open by clicking on the resource instead of having to find the template or protocol. Patient Information links to Mentor Online. Selecting a link here will take you straight into the relevant information leaflet, which you can then print for the patient. Professional Resources also provides links to resources such as Mentor Online. Note the print option for Mentor and Patient Information leaflets. The Detail section displays the detail of the code that is selected from the consultation record. Note also that once you've entered a code into the consultation record problem section, the bottom left-hand section will create a tab based on the problem selected, in which will be displayed only past consultations that relate to that specific problem. You can have two different consultations for two different patients open at the same time on EMIS. The patient's name shows above the tabs that open automatically above the ribbon for each consultation you have open. If you try to open a third, however, you'll be warned that this is not possible. There are a variety of further options and actions in the ribbon. The confidentiality option allows you to apply a confidentiality policy to the whole consultation. A separate video describes the creation and management of confidentiality policies. The sharing option enables you to record explicitly whether the patient consents or does not consent to their data being shared with other organisations. Data will only be shared where there is a sharing agreement in place between the two organisations, but this enables patient-level consent to be recorded. The online visibility option lets you control whether or not this consultation is displayed for the patient to be able to view when they access their own care record online. This option relates to the patient's own view of their record and not to the sharing of data with other organisations. You might use this if the consultation includes sensitive information, for example test results, that you would prefer the patient doesn't see before speaking to you. It is possible for you to book an appointment for the patient from within a consultation. This ribbon option takes you to the Find Appointment dialog box. To create a task from within a consultation, select Create Task from the ribbon or from the Quick Access toolbar and enter the appropriate information into the User Task Details dialog box. Select the task type from the drop-down list. Note that if you select anything other than admin note, the active patient will automatically be added to the patient field. If you're creating this note to relate to another patient, then you can use the spyglass to search for that patient. If you're not wanting a patient to be associated with the task, you use admin note. Pick a due date using the calendar icon. Notice that it defaults to today's date. Use the spyglass to select one or more recipients. You can tick this box if you want all recipients to action the task, and then add your message into the main notes section. Notice that there's a character limit of 8,000 characters for your message, which will count down as you type. Mark the task urgent if appropriate and press send. You can view and edit the patient's medication regime review date by selecting this ribbon option. This displays the date of the consultation at the top and the next review date at the bottom. You can change the next review date by changing the date or duration, for example picking a date from the calendar, or by typing in the shorthand durations, for example 8W for 8 weeks. This new date will appear in the follow-up section of the consultation. Fit notes can only be created within Consultations. To create one, select this ribbon option and complete the dialog box with the appropriate information. Spell check checks the free text content of the consultation that you're currently working on. Note that you can also spell check individual words in your consultation text by highlighting the word and right-clicking. You can teach the dictionary words that you use commonly but that won't be in a standard dictionary, such as names of hospitals. This is done in Care Record Config, and there's a separate video going through this and other ways of customising EMIS. When you're done, save the consultation, or to cancel the whole consultation, therefore not saving any of the content, select Cancel from the ribbon. EMIS will ask you to confirm that you definitely want to do this and lose that data. So that concludes our video on adding consultations into the EMIS care record. Have a go at this quiz to see how much you can remember.